Rambam. Oops. We are learning the laws of witnesses, testimony, court testimony. We are in chapter 17. When many men of great wisdom and fear of God testify to a person and tell him that they saw so and so commit a particular transgression or borrow money from a colleague, although the listener believes the matter in his heart, as if he saw it actually transpire, he may not deliver testimony unless he actually sees the matter or or the borrower acknowledges the debt verbally to him, saying, "Be a witness for me that so and so lent me money." In other words, imagine the Rebbe would tell you something, right? So that I saw so and so borrow money, right? So for you, that would be okay. Obviously, no, you can't.
You can't rely on that.
You can't rely on that. In other words, you're not a witness based on that. You can rely on it for maybe other things, but that doesn't make you a witness because you were not witness to it. Right? You were not a witness to it. You believe this person because, you're talking about great people. And even many people like that told you. You can't in turn become a witness. You could believe it for your own purposes, but you're not a witness for it, for that fact or that, stated. Right? Because you have to actually see it, right? So the person had to say it in front of you, or you're a witness to it, and it should be a witness, see or know of the matter. There's no testimony that can be established through sight or knowledge alone, except testimony involving financial matters.
But this isn't saying that if it's involving financial.
Now there's sight and you do not understand what's going on, that's not testimony. You have to understand what's going on. So it's not sight itself or knowledge itself. Knowledge means I didn't see, but the Rebbe told me.
Yeah.
But for me, that's fact.
It doesn't work.
Right? It doesn't work to be a witness that way. You need both. Okay?
Okay.
Whenever a person delivers testimony on the basis of statements of others, he's a false witness and transgressing the negative commandment. Say, do not bear false witness against your neighbor. That's false. You're transgressing by doing such a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Therefore, we issue a warning also to witnesses who testify regarding financial matters. How do we warn them? We issue the warning in the presence of all onlookers, telling them the severity of bearing false testimony and the shame suffered by those who deliver such testimony in this world and in the world to come. Right? And in others, we're doing that publicly in the court, right? Exactly. Afterwards, we order all other people to go outside and leave the witnesses of the greatest stature inside. We say to him, tell us on the basis of what you know that this person owes money to that. If he says, he told me that the borrower said that I owe him money. So he told me that the borrower, that is the lender saying, right? That I know that.
No, if the lender says I owe him money.
Right. No, lender is lending money.
No, if
the borrower, if he told me that the borrower said this, the lender is saying this, how's the lender owing money? Or he says, so-and-so told me that he owed him money. His statements are no consequence. He must say in our presence, right? Right. In other words, it's hearsay. He wasn't there. He wasn't present to it, right? In our presence, the defendant admitted to the plaintiff that he owes him the money. So we saw that, and we witnessed that, we heard that, we know that, right? So we have the knowledge of it. We just didn't see something and not clear what that was. We have a knowledge of it and saw it. Afterwards, you bring the second witness and check his testimony in this manner. If the testimony corroborates each other's, the judges deliberate over the matter and conclude their judgment. Okay, the following rules. So it's interesting, the setup, right? First, everybody's in the courtroom and you forewarn them.
Yeah.
So everybody here. So therefore, this will not be just courtroom knowledge. This is knowledge by the people, right? And they're bearing testimony. Now they leave the courtroom and now they're interrogating them. That's not done in front of people. Which is interesting. That's not the way it is in non-Jewish court today, but that's right. The following rules apply if a person hid witnesses against his colleague. Right, he hid witnesses against his colleague, and that colleague acknowledged his obligation to him in private. The witnesses saw and heard him tell him, certainly I owe you this and this amount, but I am afraid you will call me to judgment tomorrow. This is not valid testimony unless he makes the acknowledgement in the presence of witnesses. In other words, they need to be present, not hidden. They're not valid witnesses. Wait 1 second. I just want to take a look on this. So why is the hidden witness not good? Is because the person can make the claim, I wasn't serious. Yeah, of course I owe you $1,000 for sure. The witness has heard that, and he meant it in jest. Why would he mean it in jest? Is because he's not being serious about it. There's no witnesses there. When there's witnesses there, then he's only going to say what he really means. That's the difference. That's why those witnesses are not valid. Okay? 4, whenever a person acknowledged a debt to a colleague, making the admission in a sincere manner that he owes him such and such amount, he told the witnesses, "You're my witnesses," or he told them, "Serve as witnesses for me," they are valid witnesses. This applies whether the statement is made by the borrower or whether it is made by the lender and the borrower remains silent as if he accepted his words. Needless to say, it applies if he affirmed the appointment with an act of contract, telling them, compose a legal document stating that I owe so-and-so this and this amount, or the like. His statement is considered as an admission. The witnesses may testify on this basis. So what's unique about this? They didn't see the transaction. They didn't see that he lent the money, right? It's after the fact. So they're not a witness to the actual fact. They're only a witness to the statement of something that happened, right? So nonetheless, they could serve as witnesses, right? Because he's saying, you be my witness to this, whether the lender's saying it, whether the borrower is saying it, right? And he's either to be that, or he's saying, make a contract stating such and such. Okay? When a teacher tells his students, that if they would give me all the money in the world, I would not lie. So-and-so owes me a money. I have one witness against him. Please join him. If he joins him, he's a false witness, right? His teacher, right? Student's going to believe his teacher, right? Say, oh, but he only has one witness, which is not sufficient, right? To obligate somebody, right? You need two witnesses, the Torah tells us. So the teacher tells him, I would never lie. He owes me. Maybe he'll be my second witness. False witness. Not even certain why you would even think for a moment that it would, that the Rambam needs to state this. Like, there's something that would not be obvious that if it wasn't here stated in this halacha. Not clear. If this is only a teacher, right? Not a great Torah sage that we had in the beginning. In the beginning, we said men of great wisdom. I don't know if this is what that means here, but even men of great wisdom, what do we say? The fact that you heard from them, it doesn't make you a witness. So why would this be thought to be different? That he has to mention this and it's not. I don't know. Okay. Halacha number 6. If he tells him, come and stand together with the witness, you do not have to testify. But the borrower will become frightened and panic, thinking that you are two witnesses, and he will admit the debt on his own volition. The student is forbidden to stand and make it appear that he is a witness, even though he does not deliver testimony. With regard to this and similar matters, it states, keep distance from words of falsehood. It's false. Even though you're getting someone to admit something, right? So you might think, well, but your actions are embodying a falsehood. You're giving the impression that you're going to be a witness. When no, I'm not asking you to be a witness. I just want him to think that you are, and therefore he will admit. The act itself is falsehood, and therefore not to be done. A person who hires false witnesses to testify against a colleague is not liable according to mortal law, but does have more moral and spiritual obligation. Why? Why is he liable?
To God.
No, he's morally liable. Why is he liable? He caused someone to pay out money. Why shouldn't he be liable? Reuven got two witnesses, right? False witnesses to come and say that Shimon owes him $100. And because of that, now Shimon is going to have to pay $100. So he's saying he's not liable by law. He's only morally liable, right? Not financially liable. There's a difference.
Because we take even if they're false witnesses, if they don't know that they're false witnesses, then they're going to.
No, but afterwards we find out that they're false witnesses.
Then I don't understand why they wouldn't be liable then.
No, we're not talking about the witnesses here. We're talking about the person who hires false witnesses is not liable.
Oh, because the witnesses themselves did the actual.
Because they did right. If Reuven hires somebody, those people don't have to do it. Yeah. He might be doing something. He's doing something wrong, obviously.
But they are the ones.
But they're the ones who are acting wrong. They're the ones who are doing the testimony.
It's like if I paid someone to kill someone, just by virtue, like
they have a choice. They don't have to do it. They weren't forced to do it. Exactly.
But the heavenly court or moral.
The heavenly court, they're right. There's a moral and spiritual obligation, right? Similarly, one witness who refrains from testifying is not liable according to mortal law, but does have moral and spiritual obligation. Right. In other words, let's say I'm only one witness, and I know something that's the truth, right? But two witnesses only creates a liability. So you might think, well, one witness can make someone take an oath, right? They have to take an oath to absolve themselves. So it doesn't create liability, but it does create an obligation to take an oath. Not good. No. You know something, you have a moral obligation. right? You don't have a financial obligation by not testifying, right? If I, know that Reuven owes 100 to Shimon, me not testifying doesn't make me obligated, right? Because right?
But morally,
But morally,
spiritually,
yes. Okay, let's just do a bit here. Chapter 18. When a person delivered false testimony and witnesses testified to the fact, he is called an Eid Zaymim, a conspiring witness. His apostle is to requite him in the manner which he desired through his testimony to affect his colleague. So, in other words, what you wanted to cause on the other person, that's going to happen to you now.
so if I'm a false witness to try to
It
get
says,
someone,
well, that's he's going to say. If witnesses testify with regard to the transgression for one is liable to be stoned to death, and it's proved that they testified falsely, they are all stoned. So witnesses are stoned.
wow,
If the transgression was punishable by being burned to death, burn means just hot. Doesn't mean burn at a stake. Doesn't mean that. They are burned to death. I don't know why he uses that term. Similar laws apply with the forms of capital punishment. They testify falsely with regard to transgression punishable by lashes. Each one of them is lashed, as are all those obligated to be lashed. We estimate the capacity to bear lashes, and they are lashed. If they testified falsely to obligate dependents to make a financial payment, we divide that among according to the number of lying witnesses. Each witness must pay his share. The lying witness did not receive lashes when they are required to make financial reimbursement.
does this only apply if, like, for instance, I get you, like, if I say some lie that makes you liable to be killed or like executed, and you're executed, is the difference like
Well, if you've been executed, then it doesn't apply. It's only before the execution. Afterward, it's not.
okay.
And that's from the verse itself, says that.
What? So I'm confused. If
Two witnesses come and say, so and so, we warned him, acknowledged, and he killed. We saw him kill, right? So he gets now the death sentence. If he got the death sentence, then those two witnesses do not get the death sentence themselves. If it was they gave the testimony, didn't yet get the death sentence, and then they were found out to be false witnesses,
okay.
then they would get the death
Okay,
sentence.
so once like the punishment is done, then it's like it's
yeah,
over.
It's over.
Even if they find out after that they were false witnesses.
Right.
Okay.
Because the verse says, Asher Zamam, that they intended to,
Okay, so it can't be when it's completed.
not when they got the punishment.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that's not with money, of course, because money is not an end, right? If they bear it, right? Oh no, actually, I have to double check that. Not certain. All right, folks. Thank you.